Hey guys, this is Locke. In this video, I'm going to talk all about Arena. To start with, I'm going to show you a team that I was using for a very long time, I think for maybe more than a month. It pretty much stayed like this, and I'm going to talk about the team and why it worked, and what I've changed my team to, and just talk a little bit about the progression of Arena. But the reason that this team worked was because I often found that a lot of enemies were using somebody like, this Shane. And what Shane would do is that she would teleport to, a DPS or Ranger. I don't use support, so she would teleport to a DPS or Ranger hero and, kill them, take them off quickly. So I found that, I couldn't just use Ming by herself. Like if I went with something like this, for example, Ming would very easily be taken out by Shane. And I really relied on Ming because she has an AoE, buff removal. So I really relied on Ming to get rid of these like rage accessory buffs that were proc. So I really needed her. Like it doesn't matter where I put her here or here. Like she just kept getting taken out quite easily. So I had to bring a second hero that also had AoE buff removal. So I brought Claire, but you can also use Juju or someone like that. And this team worked quite well. I also had to use the legendary plus Rudy because this Rudy would not have worked. Because if I did something like this, what would happen is that Ming and Baldur would run up, but Claire would stay back, and the legendary Rudy would also stay back. And enemies that are targeting Rudy, like say for example, there's an enemy Fodina, and the enemy Fodina targets Rudy, it's very likely that my Claire and my Rudy will get caught in the same AoEs from the enemy Fodina. So if I'm running Rangers, I have to make sure that my tank and my Ranger has quite a bit of distance between them. So I could use somebody like this, or if I didn't have this, I would have used somebody. I would have even done something like this. Well, something like this, right? Like basically some way to put a lot of distance between my tank and my Ranger. So this team worked, quite well. Let me put the team back. It worked quite well. I was no longer in like say 64,000 arena anymore, 64,000, 6,400 arena anymore. But I would always finish above 6,000. Like it would be 6,000, 6,200, 6,100, something like that, for the past month or so. The reason I wasn't, at 6,400, which had been after the game started, was because I hadn't really kept up on my investments like everyone else. I don't have like an entire sets of full Radiant gears. I mean, a lot of people have that already and had that for quite a while. The first one that I'm coming close to is a attack set, this one, but it's not. I mean, this is the last piece that's left. There's only Transcend 1, but this will finally be my first full set that's all Transcend 5, and it's an attack set. I mean, because this is the one, when I was crafting, this was the one that kept giving me radiance more often, so this is what I went with. The other sets, I mean, I have pieces that are all +5, but yeah, I'm a lot behind. So because of that, because of the gear differences, when I'm fighting in arena, I was never 6,400 until very recently. And what happened very recently is that Evan was introduced, Evan Plus. And when he was introduced, now he gives DPS heroes a run for their money. So what he does is, he basically targets DPS units. So if I'm bringing a single DPS unit, like for example, if I'm bringing Ming, it's really hard for Ming to survive right now, right? Because if I'm running a team like this, for example, and I meet Evan, Ming will probably easily get taken out. And once she gets taken out, he might even target Claire next, and then she might also get taken out, and then it's kind of a losing battle. So instead, I had to change my strategy a bit, and what I ended up doing was putting in more universal type characters. So I ended up using Fodina and him. So I ended up using a team like this, Chris Plus. So basically, 3 universals, and actually I'm using this as a tank. 3 universals and a tank, right? And this way, the universal type characters are also kind of considered as tanks. So any enemy, for example, let's look at the wording of their skills for these two. So she says she targets support first, and he says he's targeting DPS first. However, if there's no support on the team, they both still target DPS. They both still target rangers. So like I can't bring Claire and say to be safe from these two. They still target the DPS type characters. So therefore, I have to switch my strategy, and so I ended up going with a team like this, where everyone is kind of considered a tank. And so if everyone is a tank, they're basically going to focus on the first slot, which in this case is Rudy. And so Rudy has a full defensive build. I've talked about, like the Radiant helms before. Like, even a Transcend 0 Radiant helm is giving me a lot more defense than a Transcend 5 plus 10 non-Radiant helm, right? So I've switched my gears to this, but it's only Transcend 0 except for the chest piece, which I've managed to get up to Transcend 5. But yeah, so his job is really to stay in the front of the line and take as much damage as possible. And if you look at the other units on the team, right, like Fodina, her skill set is that she's going to jump towards the enemy. Chris is also going to jump towards the enemy. Valder is going to run towards them and then pull them, and like all three of them will run forward. Only Rudy is left behind because he stays there and buffs. So already there's a lot of distance between the three universal characters that are going front and the tank. So a lot of times when I'm fighting, I find that the enemy, everyone is bunched up and attacking Rudy, while if they have a black backline, like for example, if they have like say Juju and like something like that, I'm usually focusing on them. Like I'm fighting their, like Juju and Rudy or something, while all of their DPSs are trying to attack my Rudy, and Rudy is built to last for a while. The setup that I have for Rudy is this. So I have one revive, one rage, and one indomitable. I find that this is a pretty good setup. It also helps him to get his skill gauge up faster and gives him a bit of damage reduction as well. So basically, I mean, I'm splitting my team in two, and Rudy is able to last a lot longer on the battlefield. I also found that because of this, with the setup, a lot of people are getting quite a few ultimates off. Like in the beginning, I would kind of even ignore ultimates completely when I'm talking about a PvP character, because I was like, yeah, it's so unlikely that they can get an ultimate off. Now it happens quite often. Like sometimes in one battle, Fodina was able to get her ult off twice before she died even the first time. So like fights are lasting a lot longer. And part of that is also because of masteries. Like a lot more people have masteries. I'm using a full defensive mastery. Sorry, I forgot to change my formation. This is the formation I'm using, but I'm using a full defensive mastery. The only offensive stats that I have is crit damage, and status effect, because I have three units that are all using status effects, so I would like them to land. So I am using status effect on on both the nodes that give you status accuracy instead of status resistance. I do have the masteries up until 130, so let me just scroll through them so you can kind of take a look and see what I have for my arena setup. I mean, you can pause this and take a look, so I'm just going to go through them quickly. But as you can see, I have it up until 130, and I have, everything is kind of defense except for the status effect accuracy ones. Like those are offense. So that's my setup. And with this team, so last week I was actually able to do really well. I was able to get to 6,400 arena for the first time in like maybe a month and a half, 2 months or so. And I find a lot of people are using a similar team as well. Like they are using heavily what's it called, like universal kind of characters and tanks. You don't even have to use these three characters. You can use other characters as well. One unit that might not be obvious right now is actually this Rudy. Like he will do a lot of damage in this team because he is a defense type character, but he gets a huge boost to damage from the increased defense. And the legendary Rudy has a defense buff to everybody, and my team, my entire team's formation, like all my masteries and everything, is about increasing defense. So I would actually expect the legendary plus Rudy to do a lot of damage, and at some point I might even switch to him. But I mean, this team seems to be working right now, so I'm going to go with this for now. But yeah, that's an idea. And other units that you can use as well, Spike is a good addition. And again, like when fights are lasting a long time because everybody's using defensive masteries and everyone's using setups like this where everyone is focusing on the tanks, Spike becomes very valuable because now he's able to get his ult off quite frequently. and his ult has a huge range, a range of 10. So Spike actually is able to put in quite a bit of work. He also has a skill that removes buffs from enemies, so he's useful there as well. I'm using Evan, sorry, not Evan. I'm using Chris as my main buff removal guy. He has an AoE buff removal, and I'm kind of relying on that. And if I didn't have him, I would have to look for somebody else that can remove buffs. I'm not exactly sure what I would have done. I would have maybe gone with Evan, or maybe I might even have considered Spike, because I really need a person that has strong AoE buff removal. And so if I did not have Chris, Spike would have probably been somebody that I would have gone to. Now let's talk about the attack speed for a bit. Now this is the only attack speed set that I have, which goes on Eileen. It's not complete. I mean, I only have a +3 weapon. I have a +3 glove though, which is nice. And everything else, I mean, Transcend Zero, and this is a legendary shoe. I don't even have a legendary like a radiant shoe yet. And I find that a lot of people have the maxed out version of this. Like, they already have the the highest attack speed that you can get. Like, they have what's it called, like the enchantments are already at the max attack speed or something like that. At least that's what I find, because if I use a like, I've tried this, I've tried Swift Formation, I've tried the attack speed pet. Oops, let me put that back. And I've tried, like the attack speed that I have, and I put it on Valter, and I've tried, I tried putting him here, and I still find that quite often enemies are still getting their skills off before my welder does. And then I've tried something like this, where I'm using the basic formation instead, where the attack speed is increased instead of attack and move speed, and I still find that enemies are able to quite often get their skills off before my welder does. So I feel like there is especially in the top of arenas, there are people that have invested in getting the maximum attack speed possible, and if I'm trying to outspeed their attack speed, I mean, I'm having trouble. And so I'm going to assume that, a lot of people are having trouble as well. So that's why I instead decided to go with the team that I'm going with, where I am looking at something like this, like a tactical formation, heavy status effect resistance, and then splitting the team in two. And I'm trying to basically, rely on my Rudy lasting a while, and my 3 units doing a lot of damage, some status effects, a combination of things to really take them out. I am at 5,700 arena right now. I'm hoping to at least get to 6,000. I'm not sure if I can get to 6,400, because it seems like opponents are a lot tougher than last time. But I'm ranked 31. I mean, I just wanted to show it off. Yeah, so this is the team that I'm using. There are some other teams that I've encountered as well, which is quite popular. A team that I've seen often is something like this. Let me see. And they had, so instead of Claire, they would actually have, oops, I don't have her. They would have, what's her name? The fox one. 1 second, I'll look for the name. I forgot. Sorry. Her, Yuri. Geez, I can't believe I forgot the name. So I would see something like Yuri and Shane. So it would look something like, so instead of Claire, it would be Yuri, and instead of this Shane, instead of Chris, it would be Shane, or it would be Evan, something like this, right? But the idea is that they have 2 of these rangers, and they're kind of staying back, and the other 2 units, both of them, will charge towards the enemy. So this way, they're already splitting their team in 2. Oftentimes, the enemy will focus on one of them. Like, either they will try to focus on the Evan and Shane group, while the Rangers from the back are attacking them and landing a lot of damage, removing their buffs, and so on and so on. Or they will have people that will jump to the back and they will attack the back line, while your Evan and Shane, they're both very terrifying. They do a lot of damage. So either way, like, whichever group that you focus on, the other group will do a lot of damage to you and disorient you, and cast status effects and whatever there is to basically win the fight. And I've seen that. I've also seen it with different formations. I've seen something like like something like this, where you can have more easily put the two ranges at the back and create a lot of distance between them. So this has worked. I actually have a bit of trouble attacking this formation. Um, but you know, like if you have Yuri, it's something that you can do. I don't have Yuri, so I mean that's already, you know, therefore I can't really use it. I find that the new Shane, the Nestra Shane, is quite popular. I've seen her quite a bit already, and I feel like she does quite a few things well. I mean, she has a single target um, buff removal, and she also is able to jump to, you know, enemies like the L plus version of Shane. But on top of that, she also has like some AOE skills that, you know, that blind and damage. So she is like a bit of a hybrid between, say, like Fudina's, like, yeah, basically like a hybrid between Fudina and the L plus Shane. So she's quite good, and because she's also a universal type character, I've seen more and more people using her instead of the legendary plus Shane, because the legendary plus Shane is a DPS type, and she will get targeted by Evan. So you know, this is what I've seen, and so I hope, you know, going over my team, going over, I will actually go over the four main units on my team as well, and show you the gears that I've equipped them with, so you can take a look. I will also maybe do this, so you can see, you can pause this video and take a look at wherever you want to look at, but this is what I'm using. Yeah. So I hope that, you know, going over this and talking a little bit about the formation, also the range formation, is helping you guys and giving you some ideas on what you can do and how you can tackle this, how you can tackle arena, what kind of teams you can build towards. I still wouldn't put so much importance, especially if you're a free-to-play player or don't spend a lot of money on this. I wouldn't put too much importance on PvP, because I find that teams are constantly changing. Even for me, like the Masteries, I've switched this up like so many times. I've tried like all offense strategies. I've tried like all resistance strategies. Like I've tried you know, putting everything on status effect resistance, and not doing any damage, like, sorry, not doing any status effects at all. I'm just going heavy on single target damage and running comps like that. So there are many things you can do. Um, I mean, yeah, if you have specific questions or specific comps that you want me to go over, maybe you can leave that in the comments, and I can put like a part two of this video and talk about specific team building strategies and maybe how to fight them or something like that. There was one that I wanted to do, which was something like the double Rudy formation. It would look something like, oh, sorry, let me. So I don't know which formation they use, but they use something like this. So they use one Rudy here, the other Rudy here, then they would use Karen, and they had you know, somebody else like same Bing, and this worked, and I've seen this in different uh, like, you know, many, there were many different variations of this. Like I've seen something like this, for example, and I've even seen something like involving Spike. And it worked for a while, but I don't think it's really worth covering too much anymore, because it's not common since Karen got nerfed. I believe that her healing got severely nerfed, that it's really not worth it running her in arena anymore. I mean, I never ran her myself anyway, so I didn't really see much of a difference for myself because I didn't run her in arena. But I don't really see this formation like at all anymore. So I feel like that nerf was pretty significant, that people completely stopped using this team. So there's not really so much point going over this, but I've gone over the two teams that I've used. I've gone over the Ranger formation that I've seen a lot as well. And I've talked about Evan and his impact, meaning that a lot of people are switching from like DPS type units and Ranger type units into universal type units, because he's just able to completely take them out very quickly. So I hope this video helps you guys with arenas and gives you some ideas. Let me do some battles. I mean, I'm going to stop talking now, but I'm going to do some battles, and you know, you can see how my units did in their fights. But thank you for watching, guys. If you have questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Take care now. Bye.
You can stop me! Go! May my actions save the world. May my actions
Such pathetic. Such pathetic.
It's time for the counterattack. Devour them. Devour them.
The power of thunder!
Stay back, you wicked ones. It's time for the counterattack. Devour them. Devour them. May my actions save the world. May my actions
Such
save the
pathetic.
world.
Such pathetic.
Devour them. Refuse to back down. May my actions
Such
save
pathetic.
the world.
Such pathetic.
The power of thunder!
Devour them! Devour them! Stay back, you wicked ones! May my actions save the world! May my actions
Such
save the
pathetic.
How pathetic. You can't escape.
Stay back, you wicked ones!
You can't escape.
Refuse to back down! May my actions
Such
save the
pathetic.
world!
Such pathetic.
May my actions
Such pathetic.
How pathetic. You can't escape.
It's time for the counterattack! Devour them!
You can't escape.
Stay back, you wicked ones! May my actions save the world! May my actions save the
Pathetic.
Power doesn't stop here.
It's time for the counterattack!
All of you, don't get in my way.
Devour them!
The power of thunder.
May my actions save the world! May my actions
Such
save the
pathetic. Such pathetic skill.
Devour them! Devour them! I will. I shall protect you.
The power of thunder.
Devour them! May my actions save the world. May my actions
Such
save the
pathetic.
world.
Such pathetic skill.
It's time for the counterattack!
The power of thunder.
Stay back, you wicked! Devour them! May my actions save the world.